My dad and brother and a lot of members of the ACLJ team are right now in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill with the families of a lot of the Gaza hostages. More and more are joining with the ACLJ right now. I want to kick this thing off so you can listen to a section. This just happened, a press conference. This is from Doris Lieber, who is a mother of a hostage in Gaza. If you just want to get a bit of perspective of what's been going on in the last 30 days, I want you to take a listen.
I'm here because it's been 30 days. Every day is like eternity to me, and I can't wait any longer because I know that he was shot. I don't know anything. Maybe everything is we don't know. We don't have a list of the hostages. We don't know their condition. I don't have anything. So I need your help.
So you hear these desperate pleas from these families on Capitol Hill, families that we're representing, families that we are supporting on Capitol Hill currently, because they just feel lost as they know hundreds of people and their family members, that person, their son, is currently a hostage as far as they know. And that's also the thing, is they just don't know what's happening. So it's important to us to highlight them. And when you wonder, why are they on Capitol Hill? Someone is to motivate. Sometimes you'll need your elected officials to see something tangible, some true, to have a face in front of them, telling them that they need help. And that's an important thing. So that's why we continue to work with these families and are really honored to represent so many of them and many more. We hear a lot about this pause, this proposed humanitarian pause that our government has been pushing, and Prime Minister Netanyahu has kind of pushed back on that as well. But I think you need to hear it from his voice, not just mine.
I know the Biden administration has also said now is not the time for a ceasefire. What they're proposing is a humanitarian pause. There will be no pause?
Well, there will be no ceasefire, general ceasefire in Gaza without the release of our hostages. As far as tactical little pauses, an hour here, an hour there, we've had them before. I suppose we'll check the circumstances in order to enable humanitarian goods to come in, or our hostages, individual hostages to leave. But I don't think there's going to be a general ceasefire. It's not that I don't think. I think it will hamper the war effort. It'll hamper our effort to get our hostages out, because the only thing that works on these criminals in Hamas is the military pressure that we're exerting.
We're at 1 month now since that attack, that horrifying attack from Hamas. And over 200 people are being held hostage right now, we think. That's also what's true right now, is that, like you said, those families, they don't know if their relatives are alive. They don't know if their relatives are still being captive, can't get in touch. Who knows what's happening currently? And when you're dealing with Hamas, when you hear calls for ceasefire, when you hear those kind of things, and you realize you're dealing with a terrorist regime, it's not exactly as easy as it sounds. And the fact that Israel has not gone even further than they've gone is shocking. That's only because of these hostages. And you have that situation where Prime Minister Netanyahu said, we're not calling for anything. Maybe we'll do an hour or two for humanitarian holds because that's the right thing to do, which is crazy to hear when you're dealing with terrorists, that you have to do something like this. But beyond that, until the hostages are free, the pressure is going to be on. And now the pressure is on because of the work of the ACLJ, because of these brave families who, are now having to put a target on their own back. We've seen what's happening in the streets of New York, in the streets of California, all over the country, in major cities and major universities. So now all of a sudden these families are front and center with their faces everywhere, and they're taking that risk, which obviously we all would hope that we would be brave enough to do. So these brave families that stick up for their families, saying, look, this is what's going on. These are not nameless, faceless people. These are brothers and sisters. These are daughters and sons, and this is what's happening. And the ACLJ is hand in hand with them, taking them around, getting them in front of the Speaker of the House, getting them in front of, like I said, all of these elected officials, whether that's Democrats or Republicans. It's very easy to paint this as a conservative or liberal point of view, but we're seeing actually maybe, is though it doesn't feel like it in the streets, there is some bipartisan, there is some Democrat support here for these families.
There is quite a bit of Democrat support, because I don't think it takes, much to figure out who the evil actor is here. And I think, with the hostage families, we've dealt with similar, not quite the same, kind of situation. But the fear is always, don't forget. The longer the time passes, don't forget that there are people over there being held hostage. And in this situation, the longer they're held, also, the concern is, what is their health status? Because, again, they have not had any information relayed to them. So we want to be on the forefront of making sure that the international bodies don't forget, that they put pressure on Hamas to do the right thing, that the United States doesn't forget, that we put pressure on Hamas to do the right thing, to release these innocent civilian prisoners, hostages that they have.
Even for our elected officials, it's important for them to actually see these people face to face, that it does change the entire way that the perception is of our elected officials, of the UN. Instead of it just being a picture on a poster, all of a sudden you're seeing moms, you're seeing brothers and sisters. It does change that, and we have to be there for them. Listening to, some of the stories, you can't help but just tear up. I mean, it becomes so personal. These brothers who, have lost their little brothers and who endured the trauma. One of the brothers, you didn't get to hear him at the press conference, but he was actually one of the security members that was actually fighting these terrorists for as long as he could. So you can imagine just the horrors that they've seen, just the horrors that they've lived through, and now having family members kidnapped and abducted and being held as hostage. And like the mother said, I don't know if he's alive. I don't know where he is. So that unknown, and now it's been a month, we really need to keep pressing that Hamas does the right thing and releases these hostages. Our work is in action. You can see that now from people like the Speaker of the House. Speaker of the House this morning thanking the work of the ACLJ.
We want to thank these families again for their courage and their willingness to share your harrowing stories. And I will say again and reiterate once more, we will stand against these atrocities, and we will stand with Israel, and we'll stand with each of you and your families. We'll be praying for you, and we'll be taking action, because that's what we're going to do here. That's what's called for. I know that your time is short and you have to leave. I want to thank Jay and Jordan Sekulow, the American Center for Law and Justice, for helping facilitate the visit today. I know you have a tight itinerary, so we'll allow you all to step off the stage, if you will.
I mean, that was the Speaker of the House thanking the work of the ACLJ. And by doing that, he's thanking you. And I want you to make sure you understand that. He is thanking you because you are a member of the ACLJ. You're a part of the team too. You're an ACLJ champion, maybe. That's someone who gives to ACLJ every month. And we are in the middle of that faith and freedom drive. And like I said, when you see the Speaker of the House thanking our ACLJ team by name, that should make you feel like you're doing something, because you are. Family members of the Gaza hostages meeting right now on Capitol Hill to try to figure out what we can do to help. And that doesn't happen without the ACLJ team, and that ACLJ team doesn't happen without you.